Hello, everybody. What's up? Welcome to today's live stream. Thanks for joining us late, as usual, about a half hour. A little later than standard, but we're here. Thanks for all the birthday wishes, everybody in chat. And a couple things that I want to get out of the way really quick before we get started. For one, there won't be a podcast tonight. We're doing this instead. I'm having birthday cake and stuff when I get home. Two, since we are not doing a podcast tonight, my birthday live stream has been brought to you by Johnson Plastics Plus, the #1 place to go online to get blanks and assorted various engraving goodies. So make sure you go check them out. There's a link in the description along with a discount code YLRZDF to get 15% off just about your entire order, virtually everything in the store. So make sure you go check that out. Support them because they support us. They make this content possible along with all the people that choose to support the channel. If you want to find out how you can do that, head over to lasereverything.net/support to find out more. But yeah, we're here. It's birthday stream. Rhiannon is here. You can't see her at the moment, but basically we're going to be double teaming a bunch of lens corrections today and just kind of hanging out with you guys to swim in some vibes and hang out and do whatever. So here is Rhiannon. Wave. There she is. She's over there. She's going to be controlling the laser. I've also got my overhead cam here, so we can do overhead cam stuff if we need to. And then you can see Rhiannon's PC. So we have this view here for you. So if you guys need to see her screen for whatever reason as we kind of work through this process, I'll be able to switch to that. And finally, we do have the laser view here. So you guys will be able to see what she's doing at the laser as we're doing it. And the purpose of today's live stream is to get the fiber kind of set up and ready to go. I've spent many hours, and if you guys watch the podcast a lot, you probably know this, but I've spent many hours setting up the UV and the CO2 galvo, mostly because they were the most difficult, so I wanted to get them out of the way first. I have a really big spreadsheet with a bunch of data on it that I can refer to anytime I need to use any of those lasers with any of the lenses that I own. It's a very in-depth document. At some point, I'll walk away from the live stream to go find that document so I can share it with you guys and show you how I have that stuff organized. But for now, we're just going to get Rhiannon started on the process of correcting lenses and getting profiles set up for the fiber laser because we've neglected the fiber. The fiber doesn't have any lens profiles set up. I don't have any focal sticks cut for it. I mean, nothing. We've got nothing going on for the fiber. All of the old focal sticks were inaccurate or broken or lost. So we're really starting from square one here. And so hopefully you guys get something out of this. It's going to be a little bit tedious and we're going to be here for a while. So if you guys have questions in the meantime, I will do my best to answer them. Maybe Kyle or Matt will join us at some point. I think Matt's probably working, but we might get Kyle to grace us with his presence at some point during today's stream. And I think that's it. I think that's kind of the setup here today. So yeah, in order to get started, I mean, we really just need to begin. Rhiannon, we're going to need a couple things. We're going to need it's the Ortur cut bed. It's like that big, it's a big black metal sheet with like ridges on it. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, we got to look for that. And then there's a plastic, it's like acrylic sheet. It's like a big square and it's got black masking tape all over it. We did the lines for when we did the lens correction on this one. Do you recall? So both of those things we'll need in order to start this process over here. While you glance around for those, I'm going to just catch up with chat. Nice focus stick you got there. Nice. Yeah, you guys, you can get these from Rob at We Do Widgets. Rob, feel free to share the link in the Discord or something. I don't think that the YouTube live chat has the ability to post links, but this tool is going to be paramount today in finding a bunch of the focal distances for our fiber laser. So we're going to be seeing plenty of this. Tons of birthday wishes in chat. Thank you guys so much. It's unfortunately just a day like any other, if not a little more stressful, just because I did decide to do a live stream and we're trying to get everything together at the last second here. Let's see. What do we need to do? So I need to do a couple things. I need to probably help Rhiannon find those things I just sent her to go find. But also I need to search for that document because I do want to keep detailed notes about how our lenses are set up as we go. So I'm going to need to look for some of that. We Do Widgets says search for We Do Widgets on Etsy. So if you guys don't have one of these, make sure you pick one up. Again, it's going to be paramount in finding the correct focal distances for our various lenses today. And we have so many to set up. So with that, guys, give me like 2 seconds. I'm just going to go grab a couple more things that we need in order to get started today, and then we will begin this process. If you have any questions for me, either related to lenses and the setup that we're going to be doing today, or just laser business or anything else, even tangentially related, feel free to drop them in chat, and we'll circle back around and take a look at those when we get started here. So just give me a few minutes, and we'll be rolling. This just kind of holds it nicely on the bed. This is going to do anything. We'll also need a big roll of the black masking because this is going to have to be masked off every time that we do a new lens. Just going to put this on the sander for you. All right, we got some stuff that we needed. I don't have any idea where this file is, but I do need to share it with you guys. So I'm just going to look around for that for a moment. It's fine tape, but you're going to want a thicker roll because we have to coat that whole piece of plastic in it. Yeah, so if there's like a 4-inch roll, you'd probably appreciate having that. All right, I'm just going to move live chat over to the side of my screen over here and pull up the cloud to see if we can find this document. All of this work that we do today is going to be not very useful to us if we aren't taking notes. Well, that's unfortunate.
It would just be a tape area, right?
I would assume so. Oh, you know what? Anthony sent me a giant box. Maybe he sent me some stuff. All right, guys, we're going to start today's stream actually with like a quick mini little unboxing. If my camera behaves, let's see. There we go. All right, guys, welcome to my mess of a desk. This is what live streaming looks like. So this box right here is from Anthony Montez. Shout out to Anthony. You may know him as Ramontes, and he sent me his Beam It Up laser tape, which, you know, I'm not even going to make some kind of affiliate disclosure. Obviously, Anthony and I are very good friends, and I'm just stoked to have this, especially right now because we really need it. Where's that crappy roll? Yeah, let me show them what this is what I have left of my 4-inch masking tape, black masking tape for corrections anyway. So very, very little left. So hopefully we have enough from Anthony here to get through today's stuff. That's not cutting it. Do we have... Can you scalpel me, dude? It's in the tool holder over there.
You need an affiliate link for scalpels.
Yeah, we do. Well, I think we have one because we did that Amazon episode, remember? All right, let's see. Very cute box. Thanks, Anthony. And let's get this open. I believe it's not here to correct me, but I believe you can get this from beamituplasertape.com. So I'll open this up. We've got 2 thicker rolls of 2-inch tape and then 2 slightly thinner rolls of 4-inch tape. So that should be perfect. This is the good stuff. I'm going to pass that over to Rhiannon. This can sit over here on the surface for now. What else did he send me? Authentic Scentsy Scent Pack Summer Berry Melon. 1 perfumed sachet. I don't know. But I kind of like the way it smells. It smells like gum or something. Smell it. Maybe he is saying a stink. Why would you include this? Whoa. That actually smells really good, though. Oh, can you guys smell that? It smells like berries. I'm going to hang that up. Boop. Yeah, let me open that one. He's probably told me at some point that he was going to send something like this, and then I forgot. But I mean, that smells pretty good. Smell that one. All right. That was weird, Anthony, but thanks. So anyway, guys, with that done, Rhiannon is going to start taping off the acrylic sheet. So if you're unfamiliar with this process and it's your first time, you ideally you have a thing, some kind of thing, a flat sheet, a piece of plywood. Acrylic's a little better because of warping. Metal would be best, obviously. You just want it really flat. And the whole thing needs to be covered in a fresh coat of masking tape because we are going to mark this paper, and we're going to mark it many times in order to get accurate measurements and such from the marks that we make so that we can correct our lens. I see Kyle in the chat. Kyle, why are you not in here with us? And I'm going to keep looking for that data sheet as well while we're hanging out here. So yeah, Rhiannon's just going to coat this in tape. You can see the difference between the old stuff and the new stuff. It's way darker. Miranda says Alex does stink. So yeah, saw that coming, Rhiannon says. I don't think your mic's up, by the way. I think we did all that extra work for nothing.
Will you pass me the scalpel?
Scalpel doctor? All right, let's see if I can find this file I'm looking for while Rhiannon gets this taped up. What's definitely not working? Miranda says something's definitely not working.
My mic.
Oh, yeah, your mic, right. Yeah, but I knew that. I knew that was going to be the case because they're not being mixed, and OBS can output its video, so I can switch between our video feeds, but it's not outputting audio, which is dumb. I can't like forward the OBS audio to StreamYard, which is incredibly stupid. All right, let's see. Correction files. We've got device profiles. We've got all kinds of stuff in here, and none of it is what I'm looking for right now.
Okay, we're all taped.
All right, we're all taped up. Excellent. Yeah, that has to be super flat. And then the next thing we need to do is find the focal distance for this lens. So then we'll grab a card and you can start that process. Let's see, light burn prefs. Oh, we had SFX device profiles we could have loaded in on the cloud, which is annoying. Rhiannon and I have been using Mactron device profile files to cheat and get jobs done, apparently unnecessarily.
Don't we have that?
Light object rangers. All right, the file I'm looking for is not in this folder. If you guys want me to edit this for brevity, feel free to leave a comment after the stream is over. But the whole day is going to be like this today. It's going to be a slow grind here. Thanks, Bogdan. Appreciate you, man. Let's see, untitled spreadsheet. No, it has a title. I titled it. Oh my God, that is so loud. Yeah, the volume button on my phone fell off. I don't have a volume button on my phone anymore. Maurice the Thespian says, "You, sir, are a bad man. I watched a past video and you coerced me into buying a mere 900 watt. Thank you very much indeed. Waiting for delivery this week." Dude, that is sick. That's a big delivery. You're going to have fun with it, though. We use the Mira 9's the laser that we use daily here, right? We don't really, when we have stuff we need to like get done, the Mira 9 is the one that we usually go to. So wise choice. Money well spent. Rob wants to know if we can go to his shop and get his stuff tuned in. Rhiannon said no. It's pretty funny. Sorry, Rob. Rhiannon said no. All right. You don't know what? Oh. It's not saying ready. You sure you have the right USB cable? Is the button pressed where the USB cable from the laser is going into the hub? Into the hub. It's right by your face. Yeah, it's that one. Yeah. And then the button. It's a little button right next to it. That should do it if it's powered. Yep, great. All right, Rhiannon is just going to find the focal distance here. So this is the first step. This is our 110 lens. We do have so one thing we need to do today is label our 110 lenses because we have 4 different 110 millimeter lenses for fiber laser, and they all take the same threading and fittings. So we have to put like, once we find the focal distance, we have to actually engrave on like the side of the lens, like maybe O1 or A or B or something, just so that we can tell them apart. Because the focal distance for one of our 110 lenses is not going to be the same as the other 3. So we do have to keep track of those separately. Should you get a stool so you can reach the 80 millimeter? Yes, I would. If you guys here, this is actually worth putting on video. You being short, indeed. That's me. Here's Rhiannon trying to reach the top of the 80 centimeter tower, which is too tall. It's too tall. There's like a milk jug thing over there, the milk crate. I don't know if that's safe to stand on. Didn't we just get a super expensive step stool? It's like $40. Yeah, go get that. That'll enable you to be small. All right, I'm going to keep looking here. I'm digging through this while Rhiannon does all the real work. Manuals, markets, affiliates, and sponsorships. Databases. This looks good. Nope, that's not it. Docs. Miscellaneous. Nope. Services. Alex, look at Discord, please. Okay, Kyle. I don't have Discord open, but I'll open it. Look, you're big now. Kyle's probably got violent diarrhea. No, I'm good. I have my PC shield. I'll be fine. Manuals. Machine catalog. Oh, I found it. All right, let's get that downloaded. Why is that in the manuals folder? I don't know, but that is a bad place for it. All right, let's save it to the desktop. All right, so if you don't know what Rhiannon's doing here, guys, the laser is running, and you can check run continuously. So here, hold on, let me get back to OBS and switch it to the PC. So if you check the box that says run continuously, it'll just run until you click stop, which makes it easier. And then in order to find the focal distance here, guys, Rhiannon is running this test text repeatedly and slowly raising and lowering the focus until it's the brightest and loudest it can be. It's a lot easier on smaller lenses than it is on larger ones, but we're just starting with the 110 here to keep things basic. I think that sounds pretty good. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to hit stop, and then she's going to use the fancy We Do Widgets focal stick measuring device. This is a big one. I don't think that's going to fit. It might fit, but I think we need the shorter one. It's behind me. Oh, it's behind me. There you go. So yeah, just loosen, slap it in there, expand, and then tighten it up. All right, let's see what Kyle has to say.
Do you want it all the touching the card or kind of it up?
I just like the hairiest fraction of a hair above it, but like it should be pretty much touching it. What it shouldn't be is like tight, like you should be able to wiggle it around a little. Kyle says it's labeled machine catalog. It's pinned here in our conversation. Great. A little bit late for that, but here we are. Hey, cool. All right, so now we have our focal length. What's our focal length?
176.
Okay, so now we will write that down in the machine catalog, which I will share with you guys in a minute. I have not set up screen sharing on this laptop yet, but I'm going to take the notes as Rhiannon does the stuff. So give me 1 second to catch up with that. I need to first find the file as I downloaded it. Downloads. There are too many anime waifus and not enough Excel spreadsheets. Am I blind? No, I don't need help. I can find things. Open in folder. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Downloads. And machine catalog. All right. Did you know that I don't care about your did you know things? Don't mind me. I'm talking to myself. It wasn't late when I sent it, though. Poor Kyle. I know. I didn't look fast enough. That was my bad. I want to plug. Let's have HDMI out. I wanted to plug in like one of those second monitors. I'll just go get it really quick. I'll be right back. You come talk to people or something. Rhiannon's coming to say hi to you guys. Everybody say hi to Rhiannon. Ask her what she thinks about working here or something. I'll be back in a minute.
Hello. I'm new to all this lens correction stuff, so should be a fun process.
Well, you're doing great, buddy.
Thanks. Let's see. Working for Alex is fun.
I don't have to lie.
He can be a bully, but in a brotherly way. Hi, Kyle. I'm not good at talking, you guys. Ask me some questions. Nothing. I've been doing lanterns on Alex's Mira 9, so that's been fun because I had a diode before and that was really slow. So I like that machine a lot better than my diode. And oh, Kyle, what is your favorite part about lasers so far? I don't know, because I'm creative. I feel like just being able to make a bunch of things on different materials is pretty cool. That's probably my favorite thing. So, yeah.
Do you know where the Adaptee HDMI bag is?
Adaptee HDMI.
Yeah, you know, not the normal HDMI
Yeah.
cables, the Adaptee ones.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. I need a mini HDMI this time instead of a micro one. That one. Yep, that one. Exactly that. All right. Back to work, heathen. Hey, what up, Anthony? Sorry you're having car problems, dude. You're welcome in. Let me know if you want a link. I'm just trying to give myself a second monitor here so I can share and monitor chat at the same time. I'm nearly finished with that process. Oh my God, why is this so hard? There we go. Do we have another one of those USB-C cables? Mm-hmm. Like the ones we were using for the camera. I know, that's what I'm saying. No, this one's kind of plugged in. Does that work?
Here or more.
Oh, this one worked. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good. Oh my God, dude. It like keeps just like randomly turning off, which is so classically fucking just laser everything. It's not even funny. It's like messed up. Try maybe you know what? It's working right now, and I'm just not gonna touch it. Just gonna leave it alone. All right, let's see if I can get my screen up. Add. Video capture. Bear with me, guys. Didn't plan for this to be as complicated as it is. Okay. Okay. Yeah, good. We want that. All right, guys. So here is my machine catalog, and there are a few things that we want to pay attention to here. First, I'm keeping the serial numbers, makes, and models of all of my machines, right? So here we have the Mactron MTRF30, and the serial for that machine is the MTRF30. It's usually the same, but it can differ depending, like the SFX, for example, which is not listed here. You'll notice has a different serial number than a model number. So for today, what we're looking at is the Mactron MTFP80M. That's the 80-watt fiber laser from Mactron. It is a JPT laser source, and it is a MOPA. Here you can see we have jump settings, so we can track those. I have not done this calibration for any of these machine lens combinations yet. We're also keeping track of which value on the Galvo is X, and if any expanders are being used. So obviously that applies to Galvo for CO2 there. So jump and delay we have not set up yet. So those we're going to skip for now because we haven't done it. But if we come over, you guys will see a lot of the data for the laser sources for the UV and the CO2 Galvo have already been set up. So we have pulse widths, frequencies, the make and model of the source and the wavelength. So any information about your system, in theory, you should be able to look up in this chart over here. The important bit today anyway, is going to be this section, which is all about lenses. So you'll see a lot of this data is repeated, and that's just because it applies to everything but the lens. So the beam diameter is always going to be the same, right? But the lenses are going to be different. Everything to the right of this lens serial identifier is going to be individual for each lens. This is not working well for me. Sorry, guys. Really need a mouse. So here's some of the stuff that we've done for optics so far. So on the left side, you'll see which lens it is, and then you'll see the wavelength of the lens, the material, the focal distance is recorded. You'll see that there. And then the actual focal distance. So you'll see this is rated and then measured. So rated would be like if we have a 100 millimeter lens with an, so f100, which is a 70 by 70, right? That's a really good example. Or this is one you guys will probably see often, f equals 160. That's the rated focal distance. And then the field size is 110 by 110. Okay, so that's the kind of stuff that we have on labels for lenses. What we're after today is the actual measured final number for these things. So here we have a column for actual measured focal distance. And then we also have a spot for our spot size. And this is really helpful, especially if you're trying to do photos. Knowing exactly the spot size, or at least the best spot size you can get on the most performant material, can really help you when you're trying to do things where line distance actually matters. There are some other things in here. For example, warp and the associated values. So if I ever lost my lens correction or lost the ability to do those corrections, I'll always have the exact numbers manually here. And then any settings related to red dot adjustment, I've also started keeping track of. You'll notice the UV doesn't have an option for the red dot tracking, and that's because my UV, although a lot of the newer ones do, my UV does not have a red dot. It actually uses the UV laser itself for targeting. So that's kind of the brief overview of this form. I know it's a lot, but we're just going to try to fill things in as we go here. We have our fused silica lenses for the fiber. We see it's the fiber because it's 1064. And if I bring this all the way over to the left, we'll see this is all for the YDFLP-E-80-M7M-R. Okay, so that's the 80-watt JPT MOPA source. And if we come all the way over even further, you'll see these are all for the MTFP80. Now, these lenses can be used on any laser. They don't have to be used on this Mactron laser we're working on today. So an important thing to remember is, like, I'll have, if I was going to build this list out all the way, I'll have all of these fiber laser lenses listed again along with a different machine, because these measurements are going to be different on a different machine. So if I was using, for example, this 110 millimeter lens on the SFX instead of this one, the values that we get in these measurements today are going to end up being different. Our measured focal distance and our measured spot size, along with our warp corrections, are all going to be different on the SFX, even if we're using the same exact lens, because the optics in the laser matter. All right, so this isn't a one-time thing and you're done. If you have two fiber lasers and they both take the same kind of lens, you'll have two entries for that lens, one under fiber laser A and one under fiber laser B. I know that was a lot to throw at you guys. I hope it wasn't too confusing. But the first thing we need to do here is figure out what lenses are what. I went through the shop and listed all of the fiber laser lenses that we have already, and I don't know what the difference between some of these are. So I have the 160-110, I have 160-110-2, and then I have 160-110-RS1 and RS2. I think R stands for something. Can you bring, Rhiannon, can you bring me the lenses? Yeah, just all. To bring me that one in the machine. Yeah, so we'll unscrew that one first. You can do it. Yep, just nope, force it. Not that part, though, just the lens. So there's like a spacer. Yeah, that top part is the spacer. We want to leave that in. So just the grippy bits. You're turning it the wrong way. Yes, yes. All right, beautiful. That is excellent. All right, so I'll take that one, then take every other lens over on that shelf that says F equals 160. Yeah, you can dust them off. I'm going to check on, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to check on chat real quick. Bogdan says, in 2 weeks, I'll start my laser business. Hope it will be okay. Hardest thing is to find a name. Yeah, the name is one of the harder bits for sure, but I'm sure you'll do great. What's up, Michael, over at ET Laserworks? Welcome. Let me see that one. Okay, good. Yeah, there's another one that looks just like that. That's also a 110. RS, Ronar Smith, that is very likely. And yes, that is exactly what that is. Rhiannon just handed me a Ronar Smith lens. So that is accurate. So one of the things that I want to do, now that Rhiannon has the focus set for this fiber laser that we're working on, is actually mark these lenses with the serial numbers that I've assigned them in my spreadsheet, just so that there's never confusion about this again. Nope, none of those. It's going to be all the ones on the left. Those are UV. So, yep, all the left ones. Most of the upside down ones. Just bring them all. Just bring them all. Just bring them all. Ones that aren't for the fiber laser, I'll just give back to you. Rhiannon's dusting because Chris is building a table in the shop, and there's just sawdust on everything right now. And we're both fairly OCD about it. All right, let's see. This is another Ronar Smith. Excellent. And this is the 254. Yeah, I'm just going to start ordering them, like in the order that we need to do them. We're going to be doing this long after this live stream is over, guys. So we're just trying to set up a system now for making sure that this gets done appropriately. Okay, this is the f equals 63. Oh my god, this is a 50 millimeter lens. That's crazy. And there's our f equals 420. That's the 300 millimeter lens. I know most of the numbers, not all of them. This is 100. That's a 70 millimeter lens. So we've got 50, 70. This is the Jolly Star lens that shipped with the SFX, which is a good lens. I used to say it was bad, but I've since learned that was user error. Here's the 330 and the 225. All right, 254. I don't know. Let me see. This is, yeah. So see how it says there's the lambda. That stands for wavelength, and then it says 1064. Yes. That's fiber. So anything that's, yeah. Yep. All right, here's our JG lens. What is this? Oh, this is 355. Okay, so this is a UV. Yep. And then the zinc selenide ones are pretty obviously CO2 because they're yellow. All right. So here's what I'm looking at right now, guys. Let me see. Again, this just keeps like, my camera does not like outputting. Can I just turn that off and back on? No, it's just going to sit there frozen forever. Can I restart the camera? No.
Awesome. Uh-oh, a cord just fell out.
Of what?
I don't know, if your monitor or something?
This would be a great video if it was edited.
It's attached back there.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so now we can see, what is this? Oh, I was using that as the power cord for this, but we don't need that anymore. So here's all our lenses, guys. This is a lot of lenses, and we have to correct for all of them. This is reflected by our workspace here. So you can see these are all of those lenses, but in text form. And ideally, we'd mark all of these lenses, but most of them are one-off. So most of them we only have one of. For example, our 300 millimeter lens here. I've only got one. So a lot of them are going to be like that. So we have in F values 420, 330, 254, 225. That's 63. That's 100. And 420. Oh, we do have two 300 millimeter lenses. That sucks. Do I have that written down? No. Of course not. Okay, so we have two. We're going to have to differentiate between these two. And then all four of these are 110s. So I actually have four 110 millimeter lenses. Oh, wait, no, this is also a 254. Where did you come from? Is there a lens in the SFX? Yeah. Can we get that one too? I think that's the fourth 110 millimeter lens. So this is a 254. So 100, 110, 225, 254, 254. Okay, so now the lenses are in order by size over here, which is a lot. Do quartz lenses have any real value on 60 watt and below? I don't think so. These are all silica, so none of these, and not the nice silica. These are just standard silica lenses, with the exception of maybe the Ronar Smith lenses, which I'm not sure. I think these are a bit more expensive. Thank you. There's the last 160. But for the most part, no, I don't think that the impurities in the silica matter as much at those low wattages. Kyle would be the best person to ask that question to, but if Kyle was here right now, I think he'd say no. I don't think there's any noticeable difference. Okay, Rhiannon, you have the focal depth. Oh, shit. Which lens was in it, though?
160.
Yeah.
We can just redo it.
All right, we're going to have to redo it. This one came out of the SFX. So I think it was this one.
Okay.
So this one goes back in. Just double check that focus. I think that should be it, though.
Can you read this from the top, right?
You read that by the top, I believe. We can ask Rob. Here, let me see it. Rob, if you're still here, we read this from the top, right? I guess like this, kind of upside down. So I'm reading the number above the notch and not below it, is what I'm asking. I read the number above it. I'm pretty sure that is the way that I've literally always done it. Rob says yes. So that is how we use that. Okay. Wow, this is a lot of lenses. So Rhiannon is over there right now. She is, again, putting the lens back in. We're going to use this 110 lens to mark all the other 110 lenses with their serial, so there's no confusion about which is which. Because I do only want to do this once. I don't want to do this again. So we're trying to make sure that we stay organized for this process. So she's just going to hit mark continuous again, and she's going to run this test text and just make sure that our focal distance is good. That sounds on point, Rhiannon, but just double check it. Here she is on her stool of power. Sound good? You happy with that? All right, now we need yeah, still good? Okay, sweet. So now grab the pan of ice that's on the SFX over there. And you're going to use that to like grab these lenses, and we have to mark these. It's not going to be fun, but you know, just do your best. Adjust, so focus to the top part of the curve, and then bring it down just a little bit. You know, you've seen me do this. We're doing it on the fiber. They don't need to be pretty. We probably should be using like a 300 millimeter lens, but I'm not doing all that extra work just to mark some numbers right now. Just mark them really small, because then they won't go over as much of the curve. Read from above. Okay, yeah, good. Good. That's what we're doing. Anthony says he buys almost all optical glass lenses. Yeah, me too. But it is worth knowing which you have. Like, I have all of mine on my spreadsheet right now. Let's see. Here, listed as fused silica, which is the optical glass. Just worst case scenario, if I ever do spend a considerable amount of money on some nicer quartz lenses, I'll be sure to note them as such in the spreadsheet so that I know which ones are which according to their serial that I've given them.
Okay, we're marking that lens.
We're going to mark these three with that one, and then we'll use one of these to mark the one that's in the machine. So we're going to mark this one first. What are we putting on it? Yeah. The serial number for the lens. And where do you want it on? I'm thinking like here-ish, like on that. And we're just going to do it like really, really small so that the curve isn't so much of an issue. So you can see Rhiannon's using the pan of ice here to just kind of get the lens stable. And since we haven't taken any measurements or defined any values yet, it doesn't really matter which label we give this. Obviously, we're not going to give it the, let's pull this back up. We're not going to give it the RS, right? Because those are the Ronar Smith lenses that we have, as Anthony pointed out, which is smart, dude. Nice one. Past me was smarter than future me, apparently. So we have these two, essentially. We have the FS, nothing, and then the -2 version of it. If you're wondering what these mean, it's 1064, so it's a fiber laser lens. FS is probably fiber, fused silica. That's the material, fused silica, FS. And then here we have our optics, our rated focal distance, and field size. So like the 100, for example, has a rated focal distance of 100 millimeters, rated field size of 70 millimeters. You'll see 3 zeros here. That's because it's 100 for 100 millimeter focal distance, and then 070 for the 70 millimeter field size. So that's kind of how those are written out just to keep them all more or less the same number of digits. So there is a rhyme and a reason to these. It's built to be easy enough to decode. If you have nothing else to go on, you can read these and understand what you're looking at. These codes, sorry, what? Yeah, so the first number that you're marking is 1064 FS 160110. And here's, no, I'd probably do a capital FS, but otherwise, and here you go. So here's Rhiannon's screen. You can see what she's doing here. What's your width on that? 20 millimeters with a height of 2. You could probably make the text height like a millimeter. It could be pretty small. We only need this for reference. These serial numbers, guys, usually are going to be used not for marking lenses, but for marking the focal sticks. So you'll always know exactly what lens your focal stick is for. Ideally, in an ideal world where you've got tons of time, you'll mark the serial number on the lens and the focal stick, so you always have a matching pair. But remember, your focal stick is also going to be tied to the machine that it was set up for. So the way that I have it set up, just to give you guys a good kind of clue as to what we're doing here, Rhiannon, can you pass me really quick the any focal stick over there? Anyone? Not that kind, like one of the, yeah, yes. Thank you. So what we're looking at here, guys, this is that serial number in use. I guess that's upside down for you. So over here, you can see MTUV5. That's the serial number for the machine. And then 355 UV FS 160 110. So this tells you exactly what machine, what wavelength, and what lens this focal stick is meant to be used with. And so that is why we have the serial numbers for everything. That way we know exactly what combination this particular focal stick goes to. Now, most of you probably, even I would venture to say, don't have so many machines that becomes a problem, but I definitely do. So it's really important to have very clear focal sticks for very specific machine and lens combinations. And that's what this document and this serialization method and these focal sticks are going to enable us and allow us to do. So that's what we're doing today. Nope, don't want to check shit. I trust you. Okay. You can do it. I'd say like 1,000 millimeters a second and maybe like 50% power. And here's Rhiannon setting that. I'd probably turn bidirectional fill on just because everything else looks good. Frequency, I'd probably go to like 45. 25 is a little low and weird for this MOPA. And the rest looks okay. Hey, Resin, what's up?
You're a little weird for this.
Hey. Oh, Kyle's here. Can't even hear you, Kyle. Is my volume on my laptop? Settings.
Fasha, can you hear me?
Setups on the mini dock. Let's see. I don't think you will.
Chat, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Kyle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, whatever. Just mark it. They know we're doing it. All right, let me know if you hear feedback, Kyle, because I'm not actually monitoring the stream. So I think you're turned down enough that people won't be able to hear you. If I have to go get my headphones, I will.
I will double check.
How'd it go? Okay, great. Can you read it? Sure, you can give it a couple passes if you want. I don't really think it matters, but cool. That's it.
Yeah, it looks good.
What's up, man?
No feedback.
Okay, great.
That I can tell.
All right, so I'm going to just switch over to the workspace cam here so you guys can see this. It's very small, but it's on there. So if we ever need to know which lens goes to which focal stick, we'll be able to tell. So that's there now. We can read it, and that's that. So very nice. Well done. Now we have to do the same thing for these two. You're going to label one. You're going to add -RS1. And then the other one, you're going to add -RS2. And here's the other one of those. I don't know why this overhead camera keeps turning off. Super annoying. So Rhiannon has the Ronar Smith lenses now. And then when we're done with all three of these, we will use the second 110 lens to mark the first one that we're using right now to mark everything else. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing, man. It's a good thing I'm on blood pressure meds because my dog decided it was a great idea to chew on all the power cords under my desk.
Oh, my God.
And that is why I'm later than expected.
At least the dog didn't like electrocute herself.
No. Just raised my blood pressure.
Are we keeping the same number?
Everything is the same. We're just adding RS1 and RS2 to the end. So it should read 1064 FS 160 110 dash and then RS1 and RS2. Rhiannon is preparing that now. She's got that lit up. And she's just double checking alignment and such. We're not trying very hard. This doesn't need to be perfect. Nope, she's making the climb. This has been long overdue. The last time we did this stuff for the CO2 Galvo and the UV, Kyle, I mean, what was that, like 6 months ago?
It was a while ago, yeah.
So I'm glad that we're finally doing this. Rhiannon's the one that kind of pushed me to do it, just because we've been using a Mactron profile to do our jobs on the SFX. So if you can imagine, it's just been like chaos and bad guesses and things haven't been working reliably. So we decided to just take a couple days and grind through this.
Yeah, that's fair. I have all my common ones done, but I have so many that I want to use at some point that are not done.
Yeah.
It's just time consuming, and it's hard to justify the time if you're not using it as like an active setup.
Thank you. So that's RS1. Excellent. Done. Yeah, that's a good size.
I totally agree with you on the comment question about the quartz lenses with 60 watt and less. They're not necessary. They're just nicer lenses. But
yeah, I figured as much.
When you're 80 watts and over, you really want the quartz lenses because the power density.
You know, dude, I've been using silica lenses on this 80 watt, and I've had no problems. I'm not recommending people do that, but these are all just like crappy $60 cloud ray lenses. And I've been using them on this Mactron for as long as I've had it, and they've been fine. I guess I don't really pump 80 watts through this laser very often, but
Yeah, that's fair. If you're conservative with your settings and you're not pushing it to the limit, that's going to help a lot, of course. Rhiannon is bossing over there.
yeah, she's handling it. I told her she needed to be hands-on today. She's got to get some Galvo experience on the belt.
Laser time.
Okay, good. Here is the 160, 110. So now we have to take that 110 out that's in there and put this one on there and then mark that one. And that'll be 110-2. So you're going to get rid of the RS. It'll just be 110-2.
Oh, resin, no. She didn't get shocked. Most of it was data cables. There was a power cord, but it wasn't powered. Floof is fine. No problem, Smoke Show.
Oh, shit. I never took that Coke out of the freezer. I'm going to go get that. I'll be right back.
Is it a frozen Coke now?
Yeah, definitely froze that one solid. That was my bad.
Whoops. Whoopsies. It is Alex's birthday today. And I'm in a couple of weeks.
While I'm at it, I guess I'll just take a piss too. So I'm assuming that lens is going to have a very similar focal distance. So you can just try it. Yeah, I would just try. It's not like a customer project. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and then we'll just remeasure. But it should be close, and it's very small. So just get rid of RS. Yep. So once I'll read it all back to you. So it is 1064 FS 160110-2. Done? All right, sweet. So now that these are all done, we can actually start working our way down this list, which is great. I think I may have you mark. Nope, JS is Jolly Star, RS1, RS2. These. So we do have two 300 millimeter lenses. So one of them has to be, I'm going to give you a new set of numbers. So you can throw that one in. This Coke didn't actually freeze solid, which is shocking. Oh man, that is cold. That's awesome.
This birthday brought to you by Coke.
This birthday's been brought to you by Johnson Plastics Plus. Oh, I was going to ask you, Kyle, could you please go check the sponsored box for this?
Yes.
because I did plug them in the beginning. Because we're not doing the podcast tonight. So I thought they'd appreciate a shout out.
For your birthday.
For your birthday. All right, so this whole row, I'm actually going to pull this up. Okay, so your new number is 1064 FS 420 300. That's it. And then we have to copy this whole row. And we're actually going to paste it here, guys, so that we have a row for the second one, which, like the 110s, is going to be -2. So we'll mark that one next. The rest of this info is the same. Yeah, that sounded a little sad. Okay, great. If it looks good, it looks good. It's just out of focus a little bit. It's fine. There's the second one. Oh, it's because you marked it on this lip instead of that one.
I did that on a different one.
Oh, well,
'Cause
whatever.
Some of them were different, like, didn't have as many lips, so I just started doing it on the normal.
Dude, I can read it. I don't care.
Okay.
It's all good. The Ronar Smith lenses are so much nicer. It's not even funny.
Stepping stools and stroking room.
Is this the hoodie you made?
Yeah.
Rihanna made this hoodie, dude.
Really?
It's stitched together from like 40 different pieces of other pieces of clothing.
Well, that's stellar.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. She's
It
kind of a
looks
weird person.
It looks comfy.
Someone else on Instagram do it.
She saw someone else on Instagram do it. So she saw someone on the internet being weird and was like, I should be weird too. Oh, dude, what happened to these glasses?
What? Whoa, what's melted? Why is it melted?
It's not melted. It's just like split.
No.
We'll fix that with the resin. Dude, the 3D printer has been so nice because I just use the resin curing box to fix things now. Like I just paint resin on stuff and then just throw it in the curing box.
Oh, that's smart.
This one is going to be -2. Yes. So 1064 FS 420 300-2. Resin likes your hoodie. Yes, like the leather stocking, indeed.
It's not like an amazing seller, but came out okay. Still sounds bad. Maybe it is just this one. It's a little
Could be that lens, could be a different metal. I mean, we are using a different focal distance for a lens that it doesn't belong to. So that makes sense. All right, so there's our second 300 lens. So now all of our lenses are, should we just mark them all with their serial numbers now? I feel like we're just like,
we should, but maybe it's around the focus on it.
or I could just give you this,
Or just give me the other one.
right? -2 is the one that we,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before this one.
yeah. So let's take that one out and put -2 in. All right, I guess we're just going to mark all the lenses with the serial numbers while we're here.
I feel like might as well be consistent.
While you're there, might as well. You're kind of set up for the workflow, right?
Yeah. I'll take that. Thank you.
For this
Resin's very impressed with your fiber lasering. She says you're rocking it.
Thank you.
She might be talking about your hoodie. I don't know.
So now might be a good time for me to share my little trick with changing lenses.
What's your little
So-
trick for changing lenses?
So if you're having a hard time getting it threaded in or getting it started,
Mm-hmm.
turning it backwards until you hear it click against the entry thread and then turning it forward can help. But
Nice.
you have to have a little bit of upward pressure or else the threads are just floating in the air and you're not going to engage.
Did you catch
So-
that?
It's
Ran
it's always
to
a pain in the butt. It just that
pain in
I
the
found
butt.
helps. It helps prevent cross threading and stuff.
Okay, let's just go in order then. There you go. There's the 50.
Started trying to do it more close to the
Yeah, wherever. You care more than I do at this point. Man, this is my kind of live stream. I get to sit on my ass and do nothing. And just tell Rhiannon to do stuff. I got it. This hasn't stopped being funny. Yeah, I can't wait for you to watch this later. Pretty fun. You got to do what you got to do, guys, to get things focused. That's the lesson here.
workout.
Resin clarified. LOL, Alex. She is rocking the laser. Proud of her for still being relatively new. You guys played with the EM Smart a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's more Chris though.
It was more Chris.
I did like nothing.
They're not that different.
Okay, numbers for this.
Okay, let me know when you're ready. Please don't. You ready? All right, this is 1064 FS 063 050. Why did you make that sound? That didn't
It's
sound like a
still
good
sounding
sound.
Like a lot quieter than it did the first couple.
I don't know, dude.
They're still showing.
It's there. Let's
so
just get this done.
might just be my focusing skills.
There you go.
Like this one.
So that's
Can
this.
we break these on here? Is this one's a lot of focus?
No.
I like look at the numbers on it.
Yeah, it's a little.
Shadow.
Yeah, I see it. They definitely did. Show it to the camera. Show it to the laser cam. Look, there's a ghost mark. You definitely can see it. You see the ghost mark behind the lambda? That's so funny. It's like they tried to mark it twice and they messed it up. Like, you guys make the lasers.
You make the focusing element. Get it in focus.
Again, he's not putting it right in the center, so then it's like a little off focus. Okay. Good.
You're doing great.
Okay, what's the number for this guy?
The numbers on this guy are 1064 FS 100.
1064 FS
Yep. 100
0.
070. Thank you. Okay, here is the next one. I don't think I have a 175 lens for my. What's 225? Is that 175? I don't even. I mean, you're good, Rhiannon. Keep going. I'm just like. Oh, that's a 150. My bad. 254 is 175. That makes sense. Yeah. 1064 FS. They're all going to start with that. 225150. Right? That's the 225 that I gave you? Yeah. Okay. I'm barely tall enough to do that. Isn't there a button in OBS to like stop a source from turning off when you switch away from it?
Yes.
I don't know where it is. No, it's my IR camera. Sorry, you guys aren't meant to see this. I'm just trying to fix the mirror box. There we go. Okay. All right. Please stop turning off when I navigate away.
Did you find it?
No.
Right click, go to properties, and there's a checkbox there for deactivating when not showing. You want to make sure that's off. On the
254. Okay. Here you go. Okay. Right click the source, go to properties.
There's a checkbox for deactivate when not showing. Make sure that's unchecked.
Well, that explains it. I just don't have that box.
Linux.
This is the Jolly Star lens that came with my SFX laser, which I mentioned earlier in the stream. I used to hate for no good reason, mostly because I'm stupid, and it was a user error all along with this lens. And it's actually a very nice lens.
It redeemed itself.
It did.
I gotta say that the anti-reflection coating on the front of it looks on point.
That's what I'm saying. It's got a huge aperture too.
Yeah.
Yep. So same beginning, 1064 FS, and then this is going to be 254 175 dash JS. And for those of you wondering why we're adding a dash JS to this, it's because this is a Jolly Star lens. So it's very different from the standard kind of cloud ray style. And so we're accounting for it separately in our spreadsheet.
I would probably argue, and let me know your thoughts on this. It's probably closer to a Rona or Smith in terms of quality than a typical generic fused silica lens, huh?
That could certainly be true, but I have no idea what this lens is made out of. It certainly looks clearer. You know, it's got that nice kind of Rona Smithy looking.
How is it weight-wise?
Heavy as fuck.
Yeah, like the Rona Smith.
No, this is one of the most clear ones. Yeah, that's sharp. That one looks way better. That one looks way better than some of the other ones have looked.
Maybe it has like some lines through it.
Give the viewers a good look at the Jolly Star lens, not the engraving, just the lens in general. There it is. Look at that.
So jolly.
So jolly. Look at the back, that input aperture. Oh yeah, look at that badonk.
The input aperture honestly looks like it's designed for a far bigger mirror head arrangement.
Oh yeah.
Like you could probably throw that on, like, it's uncommon, but a 16 or a 20 millimeter head and not have a problem. Fiber heads that big just aren't around.
So this one's going to be 254, 175 without the JS. So you don't have to change your numbers. Just get rid of the JS. Yep. Rihanna, I know Rihanna really does a great job of just like making the 80 centimeter tower actually look ridiculous. She's not that much shorter than me.
It's the 80 centimeter tower is doing a really good job ingraining the importance of focus
Yeah, true.
during her educational time.
That was easy. Oh, are you pleased?
Yuri, the Cheeseman, and Resin both say happy birthday.
Oh, thanks, guys. All right, those are 175s. Yeah, I think we have one left, which is going to be our 220. Okay, so it's a 250. I don't have a 250 millimeter fiber laser lens. Is that a thing? That's a thing, right?
Yeah, I got one on Amazon Deal Days off Amazon from Cloud Ray.
I have a 220.
It's
and
an
I have a
uncommon
175.
size, to be fair.
Is
Super
it?
uncommon. Yeah.
What about a 200? Is that common?
Yes, those are common.
I don't have that either.
200 and 210 are more or less synonymous with each other. It's just, I think that's more like a brand of glass difference, maybe.
Yeah. I don't even have a 210. I have a 220, which seems oddly specific. Okay, the number for this one is
220 is a thing too. Yeah.
1064 FS 330 220.
I feel like the what you would call an all-rounder lens, where that 200 to 250 range would be, because 300 is just too big for a lot of wattages depending on the project.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need to be able to fit something that's like 8 inches big.
For sure.
So I feel like there's a lot of variance there, and people probably hunt down to get like exactly what they need without blowing out their wattage abilities. Maybe. I don't know. It's just a theory.
I don't know either. Yeah, these engravings, like half of them look like garbage. And I don't really know why. It's not your fault. I think it's just like the paint. I think the paint on the lens itself is like burning away. Yeah. It could be that. Okay, you ready to start correcting for some lenses? Let's start with the one I want to use the most. So let's take that lens out. And we'll put one of the... Yes. But not with that. I don't want to start with that one because that's a crappy lens and we have a nice lens. So I want to put a nice lens in it. Trying to decide between my Ronar Smiths. You want to give some input, Kyle?
What are you choosing between right now? Give me a selection.
Well, I need this to stop turning off on me. There we go. This is your selection right here. So I've got 2 Ronar Smith lenses, and there they are.
So you got the F160 and the F160.
Yeah.
You have 2 Ronar F160s?
Yeah, and I don't know why. They kind of have some differences. Like this one has a removable like top panel, and this one doesn't. But otherwise, they're like very similar lenses. And here's this compared to like a standard cloud ray lens. You can really see the difference there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really know which one of these to do.
What are the serials?
160 0442 and 160 5839.
Oh, I was hoping there was like a 1 or a 2 at the end. Go with the one in your left because why not?
Okay, great. Actually, I just answered my own question. I'm going to go with the one on the right because this is the one we marked Ronar Smith 1.
There you go.
So that seems like an obvious answer.
So it did have a 1 at the end of the
It
serial.
did. It did have what you wanted. I just wasn't looking or showing you the right area, I suppose.
It was the stock serial instead of the assigned serial. Right?
Yeah. Oh, you missed it earlier in the stream, Kyle? I don't know if you were watching it or not, but we finally broke into our Beam It Up laser tape.
Oh, I saw.
All right, Rhiannon. So the first thing you have to do is find your focal distance.
I'm on my second roll of the extra wide tape.
Yeah, I'm using that up today, probably.
Anthony says the F380, which is the 250 lens, is his favorite lens for his 30 and 50 watt.
The 250 lens.
Yeah.
Oh, that I don't have. Yeah.
Yep.
Got it. Right. I was like looking through my lenses. I was like, what?
Let me go see if they have any available. No.
Mike C wants to know how your focal distance widget is coming along.
It's there. The focal distance widget is not the problem. It's the 3D printing consistency I'm not happy with.
Sounds like something a resin printer could fix.
Yeah, but you don't want to accidentally engrave resin.
That's true.
Which is why I'm specifically printing them in PLA. So I do have a game plan for that I'll be sorting out, but it's not going to be this month probably.
Probably want to do run continuously.
If you super want one, have you checked out the Slant 3D print farm? I have, but I'm still testing and making modifications to the design. So, and also I would want to make sure it's coming out with the quality I want. So I'd probably place like a hidden order with it first. Yeah. But if you super want one, I can probably figure something out. Message me on Discord or Etsy or something.
Content with that? All right. Get us our measurement and we'll make our first addition to our spreadsheet.
I gotta send one of those to you.
Do we not want the 176 or whatever?
Yeah, we'll redo it. Especially with our variable outcomes we were getting on those lenses. Yeah, focus to the card, definitely.
Pretty much like it's on 180.
180. Let's take a look. Yep. Well, looks good to me. Will you go check that out while I add this? Rhiannon's going to go check the front and make sure we don't have a customer. And I am going to add this to the hub. So we've got our first measured focal distance here. And it is for the RS1. And we have our measured focal distance, 180 millimeters. Hooray. I'm not set up to live stream this right now, so I don't want to waste your guys' time with it. But in the future, we'll go through and actually measure our spot sizes as well, which I can do with the microscope. I'd love to hook that up to one of the wireless adapters. I wonder if I could do that right now. I think I'm using like every single available way to connect HDMI to this computer, though. Well, I guess I still have one left. Maybe we can do it. I guess I'll work on that a little bit. Rhiannon actually has a customer in the shop right now. Did I tell you we've had a customer almost every single day since we've opened, Kyle?
Good. Are they walk-ins or scheduled?
The walk-ins, literally people just showing up.
Oh, that's always nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've been stoked about it. For a minute, I was nervous. I was like, man, what if people don't come back? You know, like what if people can't find us? What if we don't show up on Google? Like I was really losing my mind over it for a little bit. And I feel a lot better about it now.
Yeah. Rocking and rolling, buddy.
Let's see.
The belt.
Oh, the belt.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, guys. So a customer just came in, and they're asking if I can engrave this. Kyle, what do you think?
Is it real carbon fiber?
It's probably real carbon fiber. It certainly looks real.
It
It has a texture to it. We could technically
UV.
mark it with the.
Tell me where it is.
We can mark this with the UV,
Okay.
but just be like, first of all, it's going to be expensive. She's looking at like $40
40.
at least. Second of all, there is a solid chance something could go horribly wrong,
Okay.
and
So
let her know that.
Okay.
Just because it is carbon fiber, so we only have one very special machine that we can do that with, and we don't have settings for this material, so we're going to have to guesstimate them. Okay? All right. Anyway, I'm going to go see if I can hook this up to the microscope real quick. So I will be kind of just that way, like 5 feet, but not right in front of my mic. Just a heads up.
Sounds good. There's going to be science, guys. Science.
There's always science. This is laser everything. That's all we do.
Anthony said he tried to UV a carbon fiber wallet and couldn't find good settings for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that might be a toughie.
Well, then. I mean, we'll talk about it later, Anthony, but I'm curious what you tried.
Yeah. Carbon fiber is tough because you're really marking into essentially surface resin and strands of carbon, and resin doesn't like to engrave, which is why usually you're surface marking it. or trying to surface mark it, I should say. But it is straight up hazardous to do on a fiber or a CO2 or a diode. So,
I mean, it's hazardous to do on a UV too if you don't know what you're doing or do something wrong or make a mistake.
Yeah, that too. That too.
The UV is, I feel like that's a thing that I was always nervous about people misunderstanding when I talked about the UV as like the God laser. Just because the UV can do something safely doesn't mean it's incapable of doing it dangerously, you know?
Yeah. Very true. Puppy is in puppy jail. Because she was trying to chew on my cords again. Jason says it's unsafe due to flame or gas, fumes mostly. So carbon itself is just carbon, but so the problem is carbon doesn't readily absorb any wavelength per se. And number two is carbon fiber is impregnated with resin. Any resin, even non-toxic resin, when it is burned by a laser, it emits poisonous gases or fumes. It's not the type of thing that you want to rely on like a carbon filter even to deal with. That is like a controlled environment situation. And on top of that, CO2 and fiber, depending on the resin, will burn the crap out of the top and make it look like garbage. You really should be UVing it. And the other piece of that is, like Alex said, you need to make sure you're doing it right. Because if you overcook it with the UV, you're no longer surface marking it, you're burning into the material, and instead of just marking the surface. So think of it like, I don't know, like you can grab a piece of coal with your hand if you're quick enough and drop it again. Not that I would suggest that, versus holding it in the palm of your hand for an extended period of time. You're going to burn the crap out of your hand. It's kind of the same concept with UV marking naughty stuff, because the UV is capable of lightly touching the surface and discoloring it versus burning the crap out of it. But you have to do it right. Not the best example in the world, but I hope it makes sense. Anthony's going to rub and buff to fill the engraving. That's pretty smart.
He accepted it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
if you're going to do anything dangerous like that, you got to make sure your exhaust is set up properly and done well. Good stuff. Thank you, Resin.
I'm almost ready to start again. I just am looking for one more HDMI cable. She decided to leave the belt. Come tell people how she decided to leave the belt. I'm not using that one. That was way too big. It's not going to work.
We got a belt. And
Hi, Ree.
Hi. She was very friendly, and she was just like, "Oh, why?" And I told her all the stuff Alex told me, and she was like, "Okay, like that's fine." So that was it. Good story. But she was very friendly, and it's for her son, and she wants it by Christmas. So
Well, that's awesome sauce.
Yeah.
Love to hear that.
yeah, we've been getting quite a few people in the shop actually since, so that's been pretty nice.
Hell yeah.
All the things. Yeah. I don't know if Alex told you guys, but we got replacement ornaments for the one we messed up.
Well, no, I didn't show them.
Yeah, we got those.
Awesome.
See
Awesome.
if I can show it.
It's workspace.
Workspace. Okay. Do you have the original little metal piece
Somewhere.
somewhere?
Oh no, it's at home.
Oh.
It was all ground down
Yeah.
anyway. From
Okay, so workspace. Hey, okay. People can see that. So the original one is here, and then we had the little guy in the middle that we messed up, and then here's our replacement. Is it gonna focus? No, it's focusing on your whatever.
Try again.
Try again.
Yeah, it's trying.
Alex,
Move your hand to the right a little.
Doo-doo-doo-doo.
I think the focusing dot is maybe off
The
center or
upside down
something.
for them too. Sensor cleaning. Maybe? No. Spread my fingers out.
There
Ah!
it goes. There it goes. You got it.
I'm backwards. Okay. Baby's first Christmas. The difference is that the color on this outside one has some color and this one's white, but we're just going to use the outside of the old one and use the medallion in the center.
Snazzy.
Yeah. But I guess it had some weird film on this metal, so that didn't help us.
Yeah, did you see, Kyle, how it like the metal like exploded out from inside of the plastic?
Yeah, very strange.
Yeah, so hopefully this one goes better. I was going to use the UV on this one.
Part of the reason for fixing the fibers.
All right, let's see if I can add a new scene. And I'm going to try to add the microscope, because how cool would that be if we could work on that today too? We might even do more streams over the next couple days.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I have to do some final testing. Maybe I'll do like a live review of the thing that I need to review. That'd be cool. I don't think, well, we've done live unboxings and first looks, but I've been testing this for a couple months now. So it wouldn't be like a first look.
Is there a switch on here that I'm not seeing? Am I being dumb?
What?
Oh, I am being dumb. Ah! How stupid of me. So dumb.
What's the problem?
I just was putting an HDMI cable in the wrong end of a thing.
It's the wrong hole.
Yeah,
Rip.
you know. It'd also help if the Hollyland was on.
Happens to the best of us.
You know, it does. Regularly.
Oof.
Repeatedly.
Mike says, "What's the thing?"
What's the thing? What thing?
I don't know. In context to what? Are you talking about the ornament thing? Or the thing Alex is setting up? If it's the thing Alex is setting up, he's setting up a wireless transmitter, which you're seeing what it's transmitting. This is his super awesome microscope where we can check dot sizes. Oh, review thing. So I've been testing the longer nano 12 watt diode galvo for a couple months now, on and off. Definitely shared some feedback with them already, because it was going into production and they definitely needed to fix some things for production units, because I didn't want people to experience the same trouble I had. But it's pretty cool so far. It is the first diode galvo I've had hands-on with, outside of chit-chatting with Alex about the F1 and F1 Ultra.
On screen right now are the individual crystals on 300 grit sandpaper.
That could be like a computer background.
Kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So I have that set up so we can test spot size as we go now, if we want to. So, all right. All right, Rhiannon, you ready to start doing lens corrections? Yay. Okay, so get rid of your card and then focus to the platform that you taped over. You're not going to have to do much.
Yeah, the cone's been a nuisance for me too, but what I ended up doing was opening up the bottom, and I basically use the stand it's on as a measuring thing, and I just plop it on top of the stuff I want to engrave, which has been my easy shortcut on that.
All right, so to begin, you're going to go to, well, you can delete focus. Get rid of that. And it's under laser tools, yeah, Kyle?
What are we doing?
Lens corrections.
Yep, laser tools.
Oh, wait, do we need a profile for this? We need a profile before we start, right?
No? What are you talking about?
For the lens. A light profile, the device.
Yeah.
So under devices, Rhiannon, bottom right corner. In that like laser box. Yep. And then delete that 80 watt. Well,
you could duplicate it and rename it.
I just don't know what I already have. Let's go to import real quick. And let's go to laser files, device profiles. Light burn device profiles. And then let's go down to the MTFP. Yep. Oh, and it's 8110. All right. So I guess we're in it. I don't really like this device profile name because it doesn't include the serial number for the lens. So let's click that one and click edit. And yeah, JCZ fiber next. And next. All right, so here's where things are going to change a little bit. So delete the word Mactron. We don't need that because we already have the device serial number. And just so you guys know, I'm referencing this sheet right here. So I'm actually going to reference this sheet. And we're going to build this based off of the lens serial number and all the way over here, the device serial number. Okay, so this is going to be called the MT-FP80M, and then delete everything after that. And you're going to add, and let's see, this was the RS1, right? This is the RS2. Okay, so we're going to add 1064 FS. Yep. 1064 FS. Yep. And then we're going to do, this is the RS1. Let me I keep double checking. Okay. This is the RS1. So it's going to be 160-110-RS1. And again, guys, the nice thing about this system is that now we will have a lens, a focal stick, and a Lightburn device profile all tied together with these serial numbers. So that'll make a lot more sense, I think. This work area, Rhiannon, is 110 by 110. This is our 110 millimeter lens. Yep. And then hit finish. And then we want to export this. So click export. And again, in laser files, device profiles, and then find the MTFP again. It's right there at the top. See it up there? Yep, delete that because we don't want to use this one again. Starting from scratch. See how the other ones in the list are the machine serial followed by the lens serial? Like underneath those? Yeah, down there. So that's why we're redoing this. So now you're going to do the same thing here. So it's going to be the Mactron MT, or just, I'm confusing you. MT-FP 80M, and then space, and then we're going to do the lens serial number again, which is 1064 FS 160 110-RS1. So the profile name, the profile file, the lens, and the focal stick all match. Boom. Now every lens that we do for this laser is going to have a similarly named device profile. So now in the bottom right corner where you have the laser box again, we would just want to drop that list down where it says JCZ fiber, and we want to select the new profile we made. Beautiful. It's connected. We have the little ready thing, so we're good to go. And then we're going to go to laser tools, and we're going to do calibrate Galvo lens. Did that change recently?
No. Well, in 1.7 the name changed.
I see.
Oh no, wait, no, that stayed the same. Sorry.
Okay. Yep. 9-point correction, easy. And then, yep. So this is just asking us the size of the working area for the lens and the size of the box that we want to draw to measure. Do you have any reason this shouldn't be 100% of the field on a lens this size, Kyle?
Yes. So let me explain.
Kyle's explain.
So if you were to correct for 100% of the field size, the problem is that you're correcting for the largest, worst extreme that the lens could put out, which means you're going to be over-tuning the majority of the center portion of the lens. If you tune for about 85 to 90%, which is the average, because of the warp of the lens, your center is going to be much more accurate. Your main field, 85%, is going to be 100% accurate, and your exterior portion of the lens at the extreme is going to be close to accurate. As a total average, the lens will be much more accurate.
Okay, got it. So we should we stick to 85 or 90?
I generally start at 85%. And then in the testing phase, when you do a big and a small box, which I recommend in my video, the goal is to have those be close to accurate. You want them obviously as close to accurate as you can. But if you're finding that your smaller boxes, for example, always further off than your bigger boxes, you need to reduce that field size a little bit to bring the average closer to the median kind of deal for the entire field. If your bigger box is always off, but your smaller box is correct, you want to bring the average up. And same thing as a sliding scale in general. If one is always too big and one is always too small, you want to shift it to correct for the average if you're trying to be accurate across the entire field. If you don't care and all you ever use is the centermost portion of the lens, correct for that size, and you'll be as correct as possible. So, well,
that's obviously not going to be the case. So I think Rhiannon's left it at 95 millimeters, which is 86.4% of the field. So that should be acceptable.
Yep.
All right. For settings, shit. I haven't done this in a while. That should be good-ish.
I think, 1 sec.
It looks fine. It's my gut. That's a gut feeling.
This is this 80 watt?
80 watt, yeah. Kyle's doing all the mental labor. You're doing all the physical labor. And I'm doing nothing. I'm talking, yeah. Yeah, you'll test the scale by framing it. So if you hit frame, we can talk about that while Kyle looks at stuff. And I switch you guys over to laser here. You can see about how big this is going to mark out. So you just kind of want to get that in the middle-ish area of your acrylic. But it doesn't really matter. It'll matter a lot more when we move to larger lenses. But we do just want to kind of know where we're going to be blasting stuff. I don't know what Kyle's doing. He's doing something. Is it because of that stinky stuff? That's so funny.
So I had a setting saved in my library.
I think we can try this. Rhiannon can just retape it if it doesn't work out. So yeah, from here, Rhiannon, all you're going to do is hit the start button, and it's going to mark our test pattern. Yes, indeed. Everybody observe as Rhiannon puts her safety glasses on, because she's smart. Those settings worked great. That was fine. Okay, cool. So now that that's done, you have to do your measuring. Do you recall this from when we did the SFX the other day? So yeah, a caliper would be ideal. Could use a ruler if we really had to, but we'd prefer a caliper.
Oh, Anthony joined us. Hi, Anthony.
What's up?
What up, dude? Anthony. Ramontes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Oh, we got some loop back, by the way.
So go ahead. Yeah, sorry, I got distracted by Anthony. Let me switch back to your PC. So yeah, you go ahead and hit next. And then we need to pick which dragon showed up. So look at the board, and we need to identify which dragon is on the board. Make sure you look at it really closely, because there are subtle differences in the way the heads are turned and the ways the tails are pointing, and it has to be exact. Let me adjust this and give people a better look. Yeah. Okay.
So when I get questions frequently about why engravings are inverted or flipped, and they have to invert them backwards so that the text reads correctly or whatever, and it's almost always because they picked the wrong orientation of the dragon when they did the calibration. The second most reason is they never did a calibration.
Yeah.
But the most often is they picked the wrong orientation thinking it was irrelevant.
Right.
But this is how the software actually determines which way the motor is outputting, which way is left or right, which way is up or down. For the motor, you know which orientation is when you're looking at the machine, how it's coming out, but the software needs to know.
Right.
So if you don't select the right one, it's going to invert something you don't want it to invert to be correct.
Right.
Hope that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yep. So now just do 1 through 6. I'm going to move people over here.
All right, is that better?
Without being in your way.
Test.
Test.
Yes.
All right,
Perfect.
cool. I just switched to a headphone and then got my lav mic on, so sorry about that.
No, you sound beautiful. How you doing?
I'd be a lot better if my car wasn't giving me problems, but I got it all figured out. I just got to go pick up some parts here in a little bit.
Well, I hope that gets sorted for you. That's never a fun time, ever.
Yeah.
Cars suck, man. So,
Rhiannon does have the benefit of having just done this with me to correct for a lens on the SFX. Did I tell you the fiber is not broken, by the way?
I didn't know there was a problem.
Oh, yeah. Well, at first, I thought that I had messed up some guy's iPad because there was something wrong with the Galvo scanner power supply because it was doing that kind of erratic nonsense.
Yeah.
But then I realized I think it's just because I moved that metal plate that I got from I'm blanking on the name now, the one with like the billion holes.
Oh, Blackwell.
Blackwell. Yeah, Blackwell Engineering. Thank you. I think I just moved that because, like the irresponsible person I am, I didn't have it mounted. It just was like sitting there.
It was floating.
And then I thought, oh my God, there's something really wrong with the power system in my Mactron because I would turn the laser on and the laser source fans would spin up and then nothing would happen. Like I wouldn't be able to fire the laser or anything and the laser fans would just turn off. So I could literally hear the source like just shut off.
Right.
But then I realized that's normal. It always does that. And the reason that it wasn't marking anything was because I had a 300 millimeter lens in there and I was using a 110 lens profile and I was focused for a 110.
That'll do it.
Which
Nice.
I got to give credit where it's due. Rhiannon figured out way before me.
Hell yeah, Rhiannon.
Yep. So that was fine because we were setting up this stream today. Dude, I had the whole fiber laser out at this view. That's why this camera's on and set up. I had this view set up. The fiber laser was here. I had the fiber laser head over to my right. And we were ready to open it on stream and like do the power supply testing. And then Rhiannon was like, we should probably make sure it's actually broken before we start the stream. And it wasn't. It was fine. So we rebuilt the set back to like its normal way. And we were like, I guess we'll just do lenses today while we hang out with people. So yeah,
Well,
it was we've been through it this morning, man.
It was
Rhiannon-
excitement and
Rhiannon-
then reverse excitement, and then it all worked out.
Reset the caliper between your measurements. I would do it again. Would you do it again, Kyle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kyle says yes.
So there is a reason why, right? So when you're moving in one direction as you expand it, it's going to be much more accurate and responsive. When you slide it backwards and forwards again, it can like lose its step as to where it is measuring, and it can become inaccurate. If you're using a manual measure, it's not a problem, but digital ones,
Yeah.
I would always reset.
Yeah. So just
I mean, you don't have to reset it, but close it and make sure it's
and
zeros.
then 0. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. You got it. You got it. Just got it under control.
It doesn't mean you will have a problem. It just increases the chances that you could be inaccurate.
What was your comment, Rhiannon? Yeah, the instructions are easy, right? It's pretty self-explanatory. The 6 distances, measure them in order, input their numbers that you get.
So I was giving feedback about this this tool when they were working on it. And one of my biggest criticisms of EasyCAD's calibration or core file lens correction is that the average user can't open it and use it without almost guaranteeingly having a mistake in their measurements or inverting which field axis is going to which box.
Yeah.
So for example, if you're measuring your X dot distances, you might end up putting them in your Y by accident because the measurement positions aren't labeled. And so when they did that, and I didn't even have to ask them to do it,
Yep.
it was like the heavens opened up and smiles rained from the sky. it was huge for me. So I'm really looking forward to. I think they said I don't remember if I read it somewhere or if it was a verbal conversation, but I think they were potentially going to do a more specific correction, like a 25 point, or maybe it was a request. I don't remember, but I would love to see that, because that would give you really, really granular control over every segment of stretch and skew, right?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, so if you have really good lenses, so this isn't a common problem with Ronar Smiths, for example, but if you have a more budget lens, there's kind of an inherent like lottery when it comes to the quality of what you get. You could get an amazing lens that requires almost nothing for correction, and everything's perfectly even and centered, and there's no weird obscurities or artifacting in the glass. And then that was interesting. It sounded like somebody's air compressor farted. I was going to say, is that your compressor farting?
I was going to say this is what happens when we have guests on the show that have violent diarrhea, but we don't tell them not to come.
I already used that excuse, so I had to show.
But with your more average glass, anything, for example, that costs from like probably $180 and down is probably just your typical glass. Is you have that inherent risk of QC didn't catch it, and maybe there's a weird obscurity in the glass, and you end up, like, when you go to correct it, you notice that there is a noticeable skew on one corner of the lens or one side of the lens, and the rest of it's fine. You end up having to artificially shrink your field size to avoid something like that. Or if Lightburn generated like a 25 point grid, for example, or something like that, I don't know, like a 5x5 or a 4x4, you might be able to get it to correct each individual box segment stretch and skew. Because right now you can see it's like Foursquare, it's quadrants. If you have, instead of a 3x3 grid of dots or intersections, and you had a 5x5 or a 4x4, it gives you twice as many or 3 times as many segments to correct from.
Right.
So
yeah, I was thinking to myself, it's weird how, like, every time we do one of these big streams, we're correcting lenses and things of that nature. But then I realized, like, this is such a big part of being successful with one of these machines, is like calibration. I feel like there's just like so much of what makes, for lack of a better phrase, like us better than other people at this, is just the fact that we do spend so much time doing this kind of stuff, rather than technique. Like, just getting the laser to operate the way it was designed, I feel like is a huge chunk of the battle.
Mm-hmm.
Miranda says, "Can
having
we do
confidence in?"
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, having confidence in the accuracy of your laser, I think, is underappreciated by a lot of people.
Yeah,
especially if you're not doing batch work where you can afford to screw, one thing up or 2 things up and get it right, and then you're good for the rest of the 100 or 1,000 things you're doing.
Yeah.
When you're doing one-offs, you have a sample size of 1. So the more variables you're removing in your tuning for those, the better.
One of the reasons we're doing this too is because when I thought that the fiber was broken, and I wasn't just being stupid, basically what Rhiannon and I were doing is we took one of the lenses we had calibrated for the Mactron on a Mactron calibrated device profile, and we were using it on the SFX. And so focal distances weren't right. We were measuring focal distance on the fly. We were guessing settings on the fly because the SFX is a 60 watt and the Mactron's an 80 watt. And there was just like every single little thing was a challenge and every single little thing was a hurdle. And it was because we weren't using calibrated equipment, you know, and I feel like this is really important. That said, segue, where's Matt when you need him? Miranda is asking, I saw that, Kyle, for an Eli 5 on lens correction. So why do we do lens correction? What does it even mean? And why are we wasting the time on it?
Yeah. Do I do that now, or should I make it short of it?
I mean, think about it for a second. While you do that, because I'm not going to be able to talk because I have to focus for a minute. What you guys are looking at here is the finished screen. This is your results. This is all good stuff except for the scale, which we're going to have to adjust for. But for now, the bulge, skew, and trapezoid settings that we've gotten out of these results, I'm going to set in our sheet. So if you guys remember, over here on the hub, we've got our sheet, and lo and behold, if I scroll over a little bit for that RS1 lens, you'll see we have warp correction X and warp correction Y with all of those things. So I'm actually going to record that in here now so that I have it on record in a separate place outside of Lightburn so I can refer to it later. So I'm going to be filling this information out while Kyle chats about stuff, I guess, for a minute, just because I'm going to have to pay attention because I don't want to mess this up.
Yeah.
So
to explain it, a lens calibration is really important for the simple fact of it's going to make your dimensions and your stretch and your skew accurate. So if you have a pizza, for example, and you want it to be round like a pizza, but you grab the sides of it and stretch it before you throw it in the oven, you end up with an egg-shaped pizza, which is weird. Nobody wants that. You're going to have uneven slices. So when you go to share it with everybody, it's going to be inaccurate. The other piece of that, too, is if you think back to like when you were in school, if you're old like I am, and if you've ever had like a projector transparency, so a sheet of plastic basically, and you threw that under the projector and it projects up onto the wall, if you take that and flip it from left to right, upside down, your text that was written on that page is now literally inverted horizontally. Or you can flip it vertically, and now it's both upside down and horizontally inverted. So doing a lens calibration includes the correction for that so that it's accurate for engraving text, for engraving designs, and if you're doing something that is maybe an engineering design for labels or something like that, it's dimensionally accurate.
Nice.
I'll have to refine that.
I did get these warp corrections in, so this reflects what Rhiannon has on the laser computer right here. The scale is not right, though, right, Kyle? Why is the scale not right, and why do we have to fix that? Because that's something I don't really like. You've told me what to do, and I've done it just like following your directions, but I don't really understand why it's not right out of here, or why we even have to change it.
I'm not sure why the scale itself is inaccurate coming straight out of the tool. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. And I don't know if it was sample size when they were maybe setting this up or what. But the skew and the other things that this corrects are accurate coming out of this, assuming that the measurements were accurate.
Right.
Moving from this, there is another tool built into your device profile that allows you to adjust scale to be accurate. So,
cool. And
if you find that your focal distance was wrong after doing this, that's okay. You don't have to redo this because you can go straight to just adjusting your scale, which is the only thing that will change in terms of a lens calibration if you were to change the distance of your focus.
Right. So to check our scale, we should mark some boxes, right? That's the next step here. So what you can hit done. We're good here. And now we're going to just draw a couple boxes. So maybe like a 50 millimeter box and like a 100 millimeter box. Yep. So you can just draw a box and then do, 50 by 50. You'll have to unlock the proportions in order to get that to work. And make sure you set this from fill to line. Yeah. Yep. And then just select each one individually and hit P to center those up in the workspace.
You have to, yeah, there you go.
Cool.
I will say too, the other thing, I know you're doing it passively because you've experienced this in real life and it's something that's deeply ingrained in you and you're probably just jumping over it. But the reason why Alex is suggesting it be center isn't just because it looks better.
No.
It's because when you're going through a focused lens that has a fisheye effect and you've corrected for that fisheye effect, if you're trying to get dimensionally accurate results for tuning, you have to be centered in the lens. If you're shifting something 50 millimeters all the way to the left on a 110 lens, you're now only measuring the dimensional accuracy of one side. And you're skewing it across the center to the most extreme portion instead of equal distance across a fisheye effect.
Right. So yes, that is very important. Thank you. As far as this goes, Rhiannon, you may want to just cover the dragon test with some more tape, just so that we don't confuse lines for other lines. You don't have to retape the whole thing, just hide.
Funny enough, I'm doing a lens correction on my UV right now.
You're doing a
Which
lens
is weird
correction?
because I thought I had it
You said?
dialed in. Yeah, I'm doing one right now. I thought I had my 70 millimeter lens on my UV dialed in, but I noticed some skew on it when I was doing a job the other day.
Yeah, that's perfect. And then I think we just need to adjust the settings a little bit. So we are set for like aluminum right now.
You're marking on the black tape?
Yeah, dude, this is your tape, bro. We unboxed it on this stream.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed it.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's get the settings done first, and then I will mention that.
Settings are...
Open that up. We're going to have to do it manually. So I think we were at 300 speed, 20 power, and 20 frequency when we did the first test, and I think that was good. So you said that 20, yeah, and that should be fine. The rest of this can stay the same. You can hit OK, and then we can go ahead and mark it. Go ahead and throw that on the laser bed, Rhiannon, so Anthony can see it when I ask about it. If you do that, if you move that, you have to refocus. No, his scent thing. Oh. Yeah. I'm talking about this. What is this, bro? Why was this in the box?
Because my wife has like a stockpile of Scentsy at our house.
What?
So she was like, just throw a few in there. And I was like, all right, fine, whatever.
Well, I reviewed them.
That was her gift to you. You reviewed them.
I did if you care to, you could share my review of them with her.
I will, for sure. I'll have to go.
It was
back
pretty
and
in
watch
depth. You're the captain, dude, you're ready.
I totally forgot about that.
So the reason, that's a really good question, Rhiannon. The reason that you're only seeing one box, even though we're marking two, is because you have hull set. So see how there's three options? You have bounds, hull, and contour. So bounds and hull in this case are the same because we're doing rectangles. But if you switch to contour, what you're going to see is every piece of every line shown up, but they're not showing up. And the reason for that is because you don't have frame individual or outside shapes only is checked. So uncheck that. Yep. And that should do it. You should just, yep. And there you go. So now you can see both boxes. Yep. Bounds is the outermost. Go ahead.
I just discovered like 2 days ago the tool line only for the framing, where it'll only frame the tool.
Yeah, Kyle loves the tool lines. I'm shocked you've gone this far without knowing about those. Kyle won't ever let me live without like using those constantly. Thumbs up.
Yeah, I use the tool lines, but I never knew that you could frame only the tool lines. And I was trying to line up the round ornaments, and there's like the hole that the ribbon goes through, and I just had a tool line set up for that, but I didn't want all the other stuff to frame. So I checked that box and bam.
So those look very square, first of all. So that's great. Our corrections seem to have done their job. The next thing you need to do is measure those, because we need to know if what we told it to do is what we're actually getting. And then we need to adjust accordingly. $48.76, and we told it 50. So we can let's see, we have to do height and width, right, Kyle?
Yeah, left to right and then top to bottom.
All right, so height 48.76. Yep. It's okay. All right, and then the larger box now. Yep, Beam It Up Laser Tape, brought to you by beamituplasertape.com.
That's good stuff.
How do we do on this one? Okay. So 97.21 on that one.
Are you writing that down?
Yep.
Okay.
Woo. $105.19. All right, so we've definitely got some adjustments to do. So back at the computer, feel free to interrupt me at any time, Kyle. We are going to go to the wrench and screwdriver. Yep. And there you can see the scale for X and Y, right? So Galvo 1 is X, so we know that. And then Galvo 2 is not X, so that's Y. Next to each of the scale settings, you'll see the 3 dots, the ellipse. And we're going to click that. And so we have to make a correction here. So requested size is what we asked it to do, and measured size is what it did. So that's a good question. I think we should go with the 100. Rhiannon's asking if we should do the 100 or the 50 test here, Kyle. And I'm thinking 100.
What did you get for the 50 and the 100?
The 50 was 48.76 high by 52.99 wide, and the 100 was 97.21 high by 105.19 wide. So they're both a little wider than they should be and a little shorter than they should be, but they are consistent.
Yeah, they're consistent, so I would just stick to the 100 then. That's
okay,
fine.
Kyle says stick to the 100. Yep, so we asked for 100 on the X, and we got, that's our width, and we got 105.19. So you can see it's calculated the adjustment there for us, Rhiannon. So that's great. So now we can hit OK. And then we're going to do the same thing for the Y. Yep, this is our height. So we requested 100 again, but we measured 97.21. All right, so now hit OK, and we'll save those settings. And then we're going to tape and mark it again and measure it again. We're going to keep doing this until we get within, I don't know, 1/10 of a millimeter, you think is fair, Kyle?
What was that?
1/10 of a millimeter for margin of error?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Across 100 millimeters, it's 0.1% variable across the whole span. That's nothing.
Right. It's fine. It just needs to be enough to stop us from confusing. Oh, you wanted one rip? 4 inches is about 100 millimeters. Cubing left a couple messages in chat. I missed the beginning, so you probably answered it, but how old are you? I'm 34. And what are the tool lines? Kyle, do you have a brief synopsis of tool lines?
I could show it while Rhiannon's doing the tape.
Yeah, sure. Well, we're pretty much done, but go ahead and mark it again anyway, Rhiannon. We'll check back in with you in a second. Feel free to take over the screen, Kyle. I don't have StreamYard up. I'm looking at OBS.
Okay, I got it. So let me do this.
Resin says, woohoo, I'm off work. Now I can play with my friends.
Hey.
Hey. No.
All right, so we're in Lightburn here. This is 1.6.03. So this is by far not the most current version.
Yeah, that's old. What happened? Why are you so old?
I was testing something.
Oh.
So what we have here, because this has been in Lightburn for a while, so I don't even need to upgrade to show you this, but do you see when I mouse over just above these lines up here, the cursor changes to that wavy line with the dash? If you click down and drag, you get these guidelines. And you can do it from the X or the Y. And it has to do with positioning over these numbers. So what you can do is, let's say you have, they're really usable in a lot of different ways. So one way you can use these is for alignment purposes. Let's say you have a corner jig like the fences bolted down to your fiber bed. You can use these for alignment purposes. So you can tell yourself where those are, if you know where those are. You can also use it for artwork alignment. You can use it for design purposes, for sizing. So let's say you need something to fit between the 60 and the 120 here. So you know it's 60 millimeters wide. And you can select both of these and move them around as a group for alignment purposes. It can help you keep proportions correct when you're designing. There's a lot of uses. But this is essentially how you get them onto your work area, and you can pretty much do anything with them. It goes a step further than using a toolpath for a square, because a toolpath gives you a square. It gives you 4 lines, and sometimes those 4 lines are, for one, not easy to work with, and 2, aren't orientated to be measured directly to this outside edge. With the numbers.
What? We're not talking about toolpaths?
No, we're talking about, I mean, they are tool lines, but they're...
This is new to me, and you need to do an episode on it immediately. Was this height or width? Height, 99.91. Okay, thanks.
Okay, well, I guess I'm doing that. So,
yeah.
Anyways, so
immediately.
you have these measurement guidelines. So,
because not only have I not been watching, I have zero idea what you're talking about. I have absolutely no idea what this is.
Oh my God! Look at the screen.
I can't. I have it all like set up for live streaming and sharing my thing.
You know how in Inkscape or...
I get it. I can picture it. I get it. It's a line and it's a tool. but it's just one line instead of a square. But I've never seen this. Yeah, this needs to be an episode.
All right, I guess we're doing
wow, 99.99.
You've seen it here first, except it wasn't probably here first,
and I didn't see it. All right, Rhiannon has new measurements. That's crazy. We're much closer now. I would do it. Yep, do it again. We do it now so we don't have to do it later.
What about red dot alignment? Do you practice that with every individual lens too, or do you feel like it's pretty good once you get it set for one?
I don't know the answer to that question because I don't know I've ever calibrated it for more than one lens to have been able to compare, but we are going to tackle it.
I have. So it's close for similar size lens as long as they're not hugely different. And I don't mean in terms of calibration, I mean in terms of physical field size and focus. If you notice that they're all exactly the same, it means that your beam combiner is super accurate in terms of being positionally in line with your laser. If it's off and you change the distance of your focus or your field size, because that's going to relatively change your focus, it's going to be further or farther off, so it's going to need adjustment. So if you find going from one machine to the next, or one lens to the next, that they're being identically the same on the same machine, I should say, then there's a 99% chance that they're all going to be accurate and you don't have to mess with it. But if you find changing from one to the next that it's off even a little bit, it means that it's not perfectly on center, which is fine. That's nothing is guaranteed and perfect with the red dot. That's why we can adjust it. But it means you're going to have to adjust it with every size change or focal change.
Well, there's my answer. I'm doing it on every lens because I'm not playing dice rolling games with that. So
no, it's not a dice rolling game. If you find that it's accurate with this lens after you tune it, and then you switch to another lens and it's accurate when you get it set up, it means that it's likely going to be accurate for every lens.
Well, at the very least, we're going to look at it. We're going to look at it for every lens and confirm that.
It's the same principles of physics when it comes to beam alignment using 3 mirrors on a gantry. You're just doing it with a single reflective mirror and trying to get it lined up like a beam combiner would be on a gantry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would assume in your situation, you're using an 80-watt MOPA, which means that the red dot's from the source, so it should be consistent. But
should be.
Like my UV I'm dialing in right now has a beam combiner, so that's what made me think of it and ask the question.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna find out. I am gonna just interrupt the conversation for a minute to relay these values back to Rhiannon because she's ready. So our requested size, Galvo 1 x-axis, we're gonna do 100 again, and the measured size for our width was 99.99. So very close. And then for the height, requested 100, measured 99.91. So these should be spot on now. And we are going to mark it one more time just to make sure. And then I think we'll go and take a look at the red dot because those are some good questions. And I'd like to see how this laser performs and test some of this theory, especially about the laser source red dot versus a beam combined red dot, and see how consistent it is between lenses because we are about to change lenses. So now is a good time to kind of dive into all of that. Plus, it gives me another thing to fill out on my sheet over here because I have columns for the red dot information as well.
Somebody just tried to scam me. That's funny.
So what? Was it
the
Prince?
No. You know those 5-digit messaging services that text?
Oh
like
yeah.
like password reset links and like 2-factor authentication codes to your phone.
Mhm.
So fake company just said they were a debt collection service collecting for a company that I've never had an account with. And it goes to a .co website, and then the disclosure link that they included with it also goes to a shortened URL site. And it's a legit service sending it, but it's for a fake company.
That's so sketchy.
Yeah. So, yeah, don't click on message service links like that unless you've done something to prompt asking to get it.
I opened up Chris's PlayStation 3 because it was making weird noises and the power button wasn't working, and there was tortilla bits inside,
like
bits of tortilla. 50.15, good enough. All right, we got a good measurement on the 50 there. And we have some questions in chat, Kyle. Can we address those?
Hell yeah. Let's see. What's the best laser rotary duo? So that's a bit broad. So the problem is you have galvo lasers, you have gantry lasers, and there's a lot of different types of rotaries. So we could suggest a combination, but it really depends on what it is you're trying to do. Are you going to be doing 1,000 or 2,000 cups at a time and you're engraving powder coat off? Or are you doing baseball bats?
Pens.
Or pens? Yeah, pens. That's an interesting one. There's so many variables. Do you need a fiber laser? Do you need a CO2 laser? Are you doing glass? Do you need a UV laser? Do you want a diode with a rotary? So if you give us an idea,
Excuse you, one person.
Yeah, you heard me, big man.
broad strokes. So if you
Rackhouse says for jewelry, specifically rings.
Rings. So you want a ring rotary, and you're going to be doing metals. So the outside and inside of a ring. Awesome. All right. So what you need is a ring rotary. Usually those are, what's the millimeter value? D63, is it? Or, yeah, I think it's D63 rotary, something like that. But specifically, you need a ring rotary. So there's a lot of brands that carry ring rotaries. And what you want is a fiber. So you could get a Racus, you could get a JPT, you could get a Max. But generally speaking, we really like our JPTs as our premium option. Max and Racus are more of a cost savings because it gives you less frequency variability. So if you want varying styles of marks, like different tones of color and stuff like that, getting different effects, a JPT is going to be a better option because it gives you a much broader frequency spectrum. So really, it comes down to picking a quality brand. So we've tested a bunch of different brands. Alex really likes his Macrons that he's been working with. The SFX is really awesome. Matt has his Hayotians. I have a Makira, which actually comes from Wisely. I also have a Wisely 60 watt, lasers only. And I have other types of lasers from Hayotian. But you want to pick a quality brand, and then from there you get into which type of fiber you want. So if you want to save a little bit of money, you can get a quote for like a Racus or a Max, or you can get a quote for a JPT for a little bit more money. I would suggest getting a quote for each and determining that for yourself. But JPT is a better option overall. And you need a ring rotary. If you get just a standard chuck rotary and you want to do rings, you're going to have a very terrible time when you can't clamp the inside of the ring because the chucks are too huge. So you specifically need to ask for a ring rotary. There are not a ton of options when it comes to ring rotaries. You could, I think technically the Rotoboss Talon has a set of ring pegs, but you can also get just the standard ring rotary for like $100 with your machine, or it might come comboed in for free. Getting started, that's probably what I would suggest. And then if you want a more premium option, get that as an upgrade after, because then you'll also know what kind of connector you need on that upgraded rotary as well. Go to the buying guide. The link should be in the description. It's also available through our website directly at lasereverything.net.
Before we move on to the next question, are we done with that question? First of all, I should
Yes.
ask. Okay, great. Before we move on to the next one, I was just talking to Rhiannon. And what Rhiannon is doing now is that red dot adjustment. So I explained there's basically a few schools of thought on how to set this up, and you can follow anyone that works for you. But the goal is to get the laser to consistently show you in a way that you understand where that laser is going to hit when you actually mark with the fiber. And so there's a few options here, and she's in the PC settings right now, adjusting those. You can see them in the top. Oh, can you pull that back up for a second? You can see them in the top right corner here. So red dot adjustment, and you have an offset, a scale, and a rest position. The rest position is the easiest one. That's where you want this dot to sit when it's not doing anything. And we have ours set to 0, 0. That's default, and that's what I'd recommend for most people. Doesn't matter that much. There it is. The second one is the scale. That's how big or small your box in this example is going to appear when you frame it. And the offset is its position, left, right, and up and down. So you have to decide when you start this process, do you want your laser to fall just outside of where your laser is going to hit, right on the middle of where the laser is going to hit? So you'd see a little red bleeding over, each edge. Or do you want it to fall just inside? Personally, I like my laser red dot to hit just outside of the line. So I want the red touching where the fiber is going to hit, but not overlapping, so that I know the fiber is going to fall just inside the line. Personally, I find that the most accurate way to do it. But if you want your red laser straddling your fiber laser mark, or if you want your red laser inside your fiber laser mark, those are options as well. And once you have one of those goals picked, you have to just make some slight adjustments in here and then check your work. And you just kind of go back and forth until you get it dialed in exactly where you want it, which is what Rhiannon's doing now. So she's just making a small adjustment and framing, and you can see she just blew the x-axis scale way up there, and now it's way outside of that box, right? So she's going to obviously want to take that back down a little bit. But this is how you do it. You just make very small adjustments to this until you get that laser lining up exactly with an area that you've marked. And since we just marked this and we're done making our scale adjustments, we know where the laser is going to fall. So now it's just a matter of getting the red dot to line up with that. Before we move on to the next question, Kyle, do you have any input on that before we move on to some more questions?
Nope. The way you described it's perfect.
Okay.
And I think you also describe it identically to that in your your dedicated red light tuning video.
I do. I do have a video, an entire video dedicated to this particular part of this process. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're having trouble with this, I would highly recommend if you just go to the channel and then up at the top of our profile, there's a little search icon. It's below the top of YouTube. You can click on that and just type in
channel
red
instead of search YouTube.
Yeah. If you just type in red, just red, it will be the first video that comes up. Just click on that, and you are going to have a nice dedicated video explaining everything about tuning that. And the process is identical from Lightburn to EasyCAD. It's just where the menu is that changes. I had to do this recently when I installed my beam combiner on the UV.
Oh, you finally got to that, huh?
Yeah, it's so
Nice.
much nicer. I can actually
I bet.
see where it's hitting without having to screw around with a white piece of paper and having to worry about it actually being flat against the object I'm engraving and all that. It's just,
Yeah.
you can see it now. It's just works.
That, like I was saying earlier, that confidence in knowing where your beam's gonna hit is like, I think, underappreciated by a lot of people, because it makes, to me, a lot of difference, and also like a repeatability thing. Like if for some reason, like I was doing a coin yesterday and I was stupid and I picked the coin up before I did my brass black mark, and I was like, oh, what an idiot, why did you do that? But my red light is so dialed in, I was able to get that puppy line back in and fire away. And this is like 2 millimeter tall text. So
I gotta get a bottle of brass black.
I just meant my brass black setting.
Oh. Well. Yeah. I gotta get back to doing coins. I really want to participate in the monthly thing. Just every time I get I got a design done for like 3 out of the last 5 months, I think it was, or 2 out of the last 5. And every time I get a design, it's like the last week and I have to run it, and then I get sick or something implodes in my shop that I have to work on, or some other craziness. So what Alex and what Alex and Rhiannon are working on right now is they're not just working on scale, they're also working on shifting it left and right. So not so much scale, but actually positionally shifting where on the axis the output is. So this is fantastic if your red light isn't perfectly aligned to the output of the beam on the mirrors. So if the red light is positionally off from where the output is for the laser, you can bring it back in for framing, and then when it's engraving, it's using the right position for engraving as well. Yeah. And Resin says, "Nice, Anthony. Glad you were able to salvage it."
Oh yeah, the coin. That was it was a cool project. It's the sheriff in our county retired, and one of the ladies I used to work with, her husband does woodworking, so this project's so cool. They do like a wooden case for their like hat, like a trooper style hat, and so he builds these little cases out of wood and glass, and then they put their hat in there, and then like put their name, their dates of service, and then in the middle a patch off the sleeve from their uniforms, and that's their
awesome
gift for when they retire. So yeah, it's a really, really neat, thoughtful gift. And so she actually had me do the engraving for them.
So that looks good. So from here you would adjust.
And then I threw the coins in for free. You know, just giving away free stuff to get my name out there.
In the future, for this reason, right? Because now
it's how it be. I do see your guys' questions in chat. If you have more, feel free to dump them in. I will be covering some more questions as we keep going.
All right, I'm back, and I don't know if you guys could see what we were doing, but Rhiannon actually has a really interesting tactic that she just came up with on the fly for making these adjustments. She's breaking the beam with her finger, and that really makes it visible.
I was going to recommend that.
Yeah,
great minds think alike, man.
As to like where the beam is falling in relation to the line. Very smart.
Yeah,
and super effective. So I kind of talked, and I heard you talking a little bit about it, Kyle, but we kind of were talking about the difference between scale and offset a little bit. And I generally, one thing that I'm kind of remembering from the video that you mentioned now that we're sitting here doing it live is I really do recommend doing your offset first. Scale is much, much easier to do with offset done. So try to get your red beam centered with your test mark before you make adjustments to scale, because scale will be much easier. and you won't have to adjust scale again afterwards if you've made changes to it. So
Yeah. And scale is always it's going to be, if you've ever messed with scaling something with a percentage in Illustrator and Lightburn and anything like that, you can pick where it's scaling from sometimes, from a corner or from center, for example, or from a side. With this, it's always going to scale from the center.
right.
So if you get it centered as well as you can, roughly, and you start messing with scale, it's going to make it a lot easier, because if you try and align one side and you realize you're off by 10%, then you're going to have to readjust your offset again.
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
All right, cool. Where'd we leave off on questions?
I highlighted them. So next question is from Frode. I'm sorry if I say that wrong.
What's up, Frode?
Hi guys, have any of you done Kydex on a UV? My new UV from Mactron is 1 day away, and I've got some questions from someone if UV can work with this plastic generally used by knife makers. So here's the thing about Kydex.
I gotta find it. I have a giant box of Kydex somewhere. I need to dig up where that is.
Yeah.
But continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, Kydex is actually it's a vinyl. Hold on. Yeah. So it's a vinyl based product. So it has PVC in it. So you need to be hyper careful with how you handle it, because if you cut it, your potential for releasing cyanide, the C in that is chlorine, by the way, not cyanide. The C in that is chlorine. So you release chlorine gas, which when combined with the moisture in the air creates hydrochloric acid, I think it is. You need to be super careful. So that is the reason why UV, when it comes to safety reasons, is the only tool we would use to mark PVC. And ideally, you would be cutting it mechanically, either shearing it or a rotary tool or whatever. Because if you're cutting it with a CO2 or a fiber or the UV, cutting it is literally going to be burning it, and you're going to be generating that gas, which is fatal and can cause immediate damage to anything it touches. So the trick with UV is you're going to want to take something like a small sheet of scrap glass or even a piece of wood, just something flat and consistent. And what you can do is you're basically going to make a test grid. You want to identify where your lightest hitting marks are and where your heaviest hitting marks are. And that's going to change based on the brand of your UV laser. So while it is assembled by Mactron, your laser source, your UV source, is going to be made by, for example, Ingu or JPT. It's the engine under the hood. And the reason why that's very important, particularly with UVs, is the sources behave incredibly different compared to something like a fiber or a CO2.
It should be if it's a Mactron.
Yeah. So that's going to be super important, that you don't just take for granted the values you see online, because if somebody else has a JPT and you have an Ingu, they're going to be polar opposites from each other in terms of settings, because you don't have power. You're working on pulse width and your frequency and speed. That's it. No power. So tune from lightest to heaviest, and your goal is to hit the material that is in question as lightly as possible to get the mark you need. That is the safest way to handle materials that release poisonous things like that, because you don't want to overdo it and burn into that material to cause the release of that. Yeah. If you're ablating, it means you're burning. You're literally burning and vaporizing material.
That's not to like mince words. You cannot engrave this material. You cannot engrave it. You're not engraving it. What you want to do is mark this material. If you engrave this material, you're doing something hazardous and wrong. So there is no engraving. They're not getting any depth. If you do something to cause depth in this material, you're doing it wrong, and it's dangerous. And this can be a blanket statement for almost all synthetic materials. You really, really should be just marking synthetics. We should not be doing engravings on them, and Kydex especially. So it's very important what Kyle's saying. You have to start from the lightest and work your way up. And if at any point you do feel depth, if at any point you do hear ablation occurring or see ablation occurring, you have to stop, even if you're not getting the mark that you want. Because at that point you are doing something hazardous and wrong. So just to be really, really clear about the expectation that Kyle is setting here for your safety, the safety of your customers, and the safety of the people in the spaces around you, you have to only mark this material. You cannot ablate it. It's just not safe. There's no safe way to do that with a laser. It doesn't matter if it's a UV or not. And this topic has come up multiple times today about UVs. And just because, again, I'll repeat myself from earlier, just because the UV is capable of doing it safely does not mean it's incapable of doing it dangerously. You can use the UV and operate it in a way that causes harm to yourself with these materials. So that's really important.
Another thing to be clear of too is you're going to hear a lot of different things on the internet, and it's important to do your due diligence. You don't have to believe us. You can actually go look up the MSDS for Kydex, and it tells you there's PVC in it. You can look up the MSDS for PVC, and PVC is polyvinyl chloride. Chloride being chlorine. When you burn anything with chloride in it, you're going to get chlorine gas. When chlorine gas combines with moisture in the air, you end up with hydrochloric acid floating through the air. If you look up chlorine gas and how it's used or was used at any point in history, you'll understand why that is a terrible thing.
Yeah.
So we're really just, we want you to be safe and not hurt yourself or anybody else or fatally injure yourself.
And we're not chemists. This isn't a chemistry channel, and we're not experts on this topic. So definitely do your own due diligence. But you're playing with fire here, and this is the dark side of laser engraving. And you're going to hear a lot of differing opinions on this topic. And so this is something where you should take the utmost care in preparing yourself to do this kind of work before attempting it.
Yeah. And you're going to hear also that there are people who will say anything under a laser is unsafe because of fumes. Because if you burn anything, it's going to generate carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide or soot and carbon in the air, whatever, stuff you're not supposed to inhale or you can't consistently breathe. While that is true, there are also varying degrees of danger. So airflow can resolve carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. You can replace that air with oxygen. What you can't do is undo the damage that chlorine gas does once it's touched something.
Yeah, I mean, also getting a lung full of carbon monoxide and a lung full of hydrochloric acid or chlorine gas are very different things. So even if you get one whiff of something, how much damage is that whiff doing? You know, I mean, that's kind of and it seems like we're splitting hairs, but that really is the level here that you need to be performing at in order to consider yourself doing your job safely. So,
yeah. So I hope that adequately answers your question. That is also why we, again, just to tie it back to the beginning of the conversation, why we suggest going the absolute lightest setting you can and working your way up slowly, because that is just the safest absolute way to approach it with the most minimal possible aggression possible.
Yeah. We're kind of at, I know we have one more question and we're going to answer it, but we are kind of at a point here where if we continue, we're going to do everything we just did again, and we're going to run out of time today before we can finish that. So instead, I'd like to think we'll have time to do another stream maybe tomorrow, where we can move a little quicker through this process. Now that Rhiannon's a bit trained up on it, I think we can move a little faster through them. But I did want to go slow the first time, not just for you guys, but for her sake too, because this is her first time doing it on her own. She did a great job. The red dot is all aligned. Feeling very happy with that. We also updated our spreadsheet here, so you can see now we've got our warp values entered and our red dot corrections entered in, and so we are in a great place to move forward on the next one. The only thing we didn't get to today is the spot size, which I'm just not rigged up for audio over there, and I don't want to just sit over there for a half hour while I try to measure this incredibly small dot. So I think that will be something that we'll maybe tackle tomorrow. But otherwise, this lens is done, and now we're ready to kind of move through this list. But we do have one complete, fully functional lens and lens profile today, which I'm super duper happy with. The last thing that I'm going to direct Rhiannon to before we shut down this part of the stream anyway is re-export this. Now that we have all of these settings in for our profile, we need to overwrite the old data. Otherwise, if we ever try to load this profile in again, we will be loading up what we had when we saved it. So we're going to go to devices and we're going to go to export. We'll select that and export, and we're just going to find that new lens profile we created with the RS1 for the Ronar Smith lens, and we're just going to overwrite it. So let's see, we're MTFP.
If you organize by date modified, it'll be at the top.
Should be right there. Yep, perfect. And we'll just save. And great. So now all of the changes that we've done are saved as part of that profile, so we don't need to worry about losing that in the future, and we're ready to move on to all of these other lenses. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 lenses left to do, but one done, and that was excellent. We started a little late today from technical difficulties as usual and other things that we have going on here at the shop, but we can and probably should start much earlier tomorrow. Yeah, we'll just leave it. Rhiannon said we'll just leave it. I think that's a good idea. So we'll just leave all this stuff exactly where it is so that we can pick up where we left off today, tomorrow, and get some of these lenses done. I'm really glad that you guys came by today for birthday party. That was fun. And I'm looking forward to hanging out again tomorrow. Let's see, 23 of you guys actually stomached this stream, so congratulations to those of you who made it through. And let's see, Resin says, oh, did you see Frode acknowledged? It's just a translation issue, so he's saying
Yeah.
yes, marking indeed. So and that's good. It sounds like you are going into this with the right mindset, Frode, so I'm not super concerned about your outcome there. Resin says, I also need to stop using engrave. It's just a term that is most widely used. It's very true. Engrave and mark and ablate, using those terms accurately to describe what you're doing, especially with clients and customers, is very important. And a lot of people in our industry do not use those terms accurately, both in shop and on social media and across the web. So using those terms correctly and then making sure other people are using those terms correctly or correcting it when you see it used incorrectly is really important. And we've probably made the case today that is from a safety standpoint, among other reasons. So, yes.
I'm guilty of that, too. I slip.
Yeah, I think we all are. But it's something that we need to we need to be better about, and it's something that we need to be better about as an industry. I think it's really, really important. Michael says I need to stop using the word working and use having fun instead. That's true. That's what we do here. Smoke Show says it's like Clip and Magazine. Absolutely, very different things. And then I don't want to miss anybody. Really quick, before we go, guys, we do have one last question here. I want to make sure we answer everyone before we wrap up for the day. So I had a question on Discord that's not been answered yet about how thick a material should you expect to cut without the beam hourglassing with a 2-inch focal length lens, 20 millimeter on 100 watt CO2 gantry.
Depends on the material.
Yeah,
I think to an extent, like you have a lot easier job cutting through like 1/2-inch solid wood versus maybe plywood versus 1/2-inch acrylic. So,
I mean, I would guess
so
like
cut through 1/2-inch plywood
on a 2-inch lens, you're probably getting like, I'd say like an 1/8 inch of straight cut, maybe like 3 mil.
So the deeply technical answer to this is you will always have hourglassing because of the nature of how a laser beam focuses. It's whether or not it's perceivable or not. So I don't think anything sub 8 millimeters is probably going to have a perceivable hourglassing on the edge. Maybe, sub 8 should be totally fine, I would think. 1/2 inch would be what, 12.5 mil or 12.5 millimeters or so.
Yeah, roughly.
Between 8 and 12.5, I feel like you might be okay, but it might stretch. I don't cut a lot of super thick material. The thickest I generally go is like 3/8 of an inch, which is I don't know, like 8 or 9 millimeter, I think. So
I'd say you're definitely seeing it at a 1/2 inch for sure.
Yeah,
because I've cut 1/2 inch and I've seen it. So
yeah,
I would say somewhere between our answers is probably right. It's super subjective too. This is a subjective question, but I think 8 sounds good ish.
Yeah. And the other thing too to consider is where that hourglassing is in the extreme of it. So if you're focusing directly to the top of the material, you're going to have an extreme dip on the bottom edge.
Right.
Whereas if you focus to the center of the material, it's going to have more of a like an arch to it or a curve.
Right.
That might be a lot less perceptible. So take that into consideration as well.
Well, in like a graphical representation, it would be a curve, but the way that the laser's actually going to cut in that
it'll
scenario,
be on average significantly flatter.
Yeah, it'll be flatter, but it won't be a curve because the laser is going to cut away areas lower down that would have been out of the laser's range because it's a laser. It's complicated, but
yeah. So hope that helps.
They say they're getting 10 millimeters without a problem, and they're getting a roughly 3 millimeter straight cut when the focus is on top. So that all sounds in line with what we're suggesting. Just off the top of our heads.
If you average your focal point to the center of the material, so if you know exactly your perfect focus point and you focus to the top of the material and it's 10 millimeter material, if you drop your focus 5 millimeters, you will be in the center of the material for your perfect focus, which will give you a better average result.
Yeah, and better energy density.
Yes,
overall.
that too. Yep.
Yeah, which still matters on gantry, though we don't talk about it on gantry a lot, but we could do a whole episode on that. Kyle, I really want that tool video done now because that is like that. I've been thinking about that since you brought it up. It's really bothering me.
Which tool?
The tool line thing in Lightburn.
The measurement guidelines.
Yeah, that's so cool. Also, Rhiannon's here. Rhiannon has nodded to me a couple times that we are going to stream, and we're going to stream earlier tomorrow. So if you want to hang out more, ask more questions, or participate more in our fiber laser setup process, make sure you swing by. I don't know what time it'll be yet. Probably between 10 and 11-ish. She doesn't know. I don't know. But that's when we'll be doing that.
It'll be announced when it happens.
It'll be announced when it happens, as we always do. Thank you, everybody who had some nice birthday wishes to share with me today. Really does mean a lot to me. I do appreciate it. Make sure you go check out our sponsor, Johnson Plastics Plus. If you want to support the channel directly, lasereverything.net/support. Don't forget, this entire episode revolved around Beam It Up Laser Tape. You can get it from beamituplasertape.com. That's Anthony. And I think that's all I've got, guys. We ran out of time very quickly today, but I'm looking forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. So we will see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.